Hi, I'm Chris. If you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. This is episode 5 in a 12-part series called Conscious Pathways, where we follow the metaphor of Rip Van Winkle and the journey of awakening in a world that often moves faster than the soul. Each episode stands on its own and also weaves into the larger arc of remembering, reclaiming, and returning to what matters most. Have you ever found yourself in a place that once felt familiar and suddenly didn't? Where the streets looked the same, but something inside you had changed so much you weren't sure if you belonged anymore. That's where we find Rip, not just waking up, but walking back into a world that doesn't recognize him. And even more unsettling, a world he no longer fully recognizes either.
Hi, I'm Dennis. In Washington Irving's words, he doubted his own identity and whether he was himself or another man. In the end, he began to doubt whether he had not been changed into something else. Rip wandered through his village searching for someone who could confirm he still belonged. But the old inn had a new name. The faces were unfamiliar. Even the government had changed while he slept. He tried to tell a story, but many doubted it. He tried to explain who he was, but even he wasn't entirely sure anymore. He was forced to ask a deeper question: who am I now in a world that moved on without me? As Rip tried to explain his absence, some thought he was mad. Others mocked him. He must have wondered, how can I prove I am who I say I am when I no longer even feel like the person I once was? And that question, how do we explain our growth to a world that hasn't seen it, is one many of us faced in quieter ways.
It's a question many of us face, not just after 2 decades of sleep, but after an awakening, a loss, a turning point in life. We return to our homes and our relationships or routines, but something feels different. We've changed quietly, inwardly, and now the outer world doesn't seem to fit in quite the same way. This can feel disorienting, but it can also be a profound invitation, because maybe remembering who we are isn't about trying to reclaim the past. Maybe it's about uncovering the truth that was always within us, the part that's been waiting for us to finally wake up and listen.
As Rip settled back into life, albeit a quieter one, he became a symbol of the old world, a relic of the past. But we have another choice. We don't have to return only to what was. We can choose to rediscover our values, to realign with our purpose, and to reconnect with the parts of ourselves we may have forgotten. So let me ask you, what truths are stirring in you now? What part of yourself have you left behind that might be ready to return? And what no longer fits, even if it once did? Take a breath. Let yourself feel into that space between who you were and who you're becoming. If you could sit with your past self without judgment, what would you want them to remember? And what are you finally ready to leave behind? Take a moment today to listen, not to the noise around you, but to the quiet knowing within you.
And if you're still in that in-between space, you're not alone. We're walking this path with you.
In the next episode, we'll look at the stories we carry, the ones we've inherited, the ones we've outgrown, and the ones we finally are ready to rewrite.
Whether you're in the middle of your awakening or just beginning, we're honored to walk beside you. Let this episode be a mirror or maybe a lantern. And when you're ready, join us next time as we explore the stories we carry.
If this message resonates with you, we'd love for you to follow the podcast and walk this path with us.